We are proceeding with the Brownfield local initiative for the Riverwalk area, and that will be coming forward within the next quarter. The other thing that I wanted to report in terms of new activity is we have added the intersection improvements at US 1 and Ridgewood Avenue and Dunlawton Avenue, and I always say this wrong, I'm sorry, US 1, Ridgewood Avenue, and State Road 421, Dunlawton Avenue, and Ridgewood and Herbert Street. These are two projects that have been identified, intersection improvements that were part of the US 1 arterial investment study from well over a decade ago. Somewhat after languishing for years and years, somewhat out of the blue, we were contacted by FDOT, and they apparently have a pool of money to begin design work on these two very important intersection improvements. And so we are doing our best to work with them to facilitate that design activity. And probably most importantly to this CRA is the fact that the design at Herbert Street will likely require some cooperative effort with us in terms of at least temporary construction easement or maybe even permanent sidewalk easement to allow those intersection improvements at Herbert and US 1 to proceed. But so far so good. Everything looks consistent with what we'd like to see happen out there, and it will certainly help facilitate traffic movement for the long-term redevelopment within the Riverwalk area. And as you can see in the report, they're looking to proceed, pretty quickly in terms of their design on that project.
Before you go to the next one, let me ask you a question about Herbert Street in US 1.
Yes.
What about additional property? There isn't any.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Well, the only additional property that would be required would be right there next to Art House, and that's the area where they may need temporary construction easement.
But I mean, are you physically going to change it?
They are proposing to actually physically change that intersection with a permanent right turn lane at Herbert Street. And so that would potentially shift it over onto that corner piece, which we own. And I think that, was consistent with the plan where you would have a left turn through lane and a right turn lane. And actually, FDOT, I'm not sure how they were planning it, but I think that's how it's set up right now.
No, it's going to put on the document, Cameron. This isn't probably the highest resolution image.
This is 1937.
Right.
Isn't it, Ben? Is it?
What Ken was pointing out here, this is just to orient you, this is the Art House property that the CRA and the city owns, and then the adjacent vacant lot to it. This is the area adjacent to Herbert Street here where there would be the potential for some additional encroachment into property that we own. All the other improvements would be done within, at least from this preliminary conceptual plan, all the improvements would be done within existing FDOT right-of-way. It's just the Herbert Street area that falls within city right-of-way.
Okay, because there's nothing on the donut side. The three other sides, there's no property.
Okay, they're not.
But they're staying.
Yeah, they're not touching
the
it.
limit. They're proposing to stay within that limit. So again, these are preliminary conceptual plans. As we get into the normal 30, 60, 90% design, we'll be looking at that very carefully and reporting back to you in terms of any implications for property.
Yeah, some of the other discussions we would like to have with FDOT at that location is actually the left turn lane onto Herbert Street going eastbound toward the river off of Ridgewood. So as they, to be sure that they have thought through the stacking that would be required in the long term, not just in a short term type of thing. Now that may require some modification of medians and all of that type of activity, but I think we have an opportunity right now with DOT to get this project moving forward fairly quickly. What they would like to do is to do the two intersections as one project rather than as two separate projects. And the right-of-way becomes a real key issue for them. because if they have to go through the normal right-of-way acquisition process, then it just extends that whole timeline. So we're trying to work with DOT in order to expedite it so that they can try to get all those intersection improvements done.
Keeping in mind, these are the same folks that did Nova Road.
But not the same construction company.
Couldn't help myself, it just slipped out. Let me ask a question, though. They've got some improvements at Ridgewood and Dunlawton.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to have any impact on our problem from last year's rains?
Okay, at this
It's a
location,
little
it will
further
not.
east than where we had the problem.
No, at this location, it should not, because the water from this area flows toward the river. But what it will have is it will take off some of the, that triangle there at where you have the right turn lane going beachside.
Mm-hmm.
It will take a portion of that triangle out. And in order to put the dual left turn westbound in place. So there's going to be some modifications in that location. They claim they will not need anything on the north side of Dunlawton as you go north along Ridgewood. There, where Counts used to be in that area, they claim they will not need any additional right-of-way. They believe they have enough right-of-way on the south side of it to construct the to come in and construct it, and then make the transition back after you've crossed over Dunlawton, so they will not need any right-of-way on the other side.
Yeah,
That's what it looks like.
What's indicated as a possible acquisition, my understanding in talking with Mike Hill, our community development engineer, it appears that they do not need to acquire that at max. They would maybe need temporary construction easement. Again, these are preliminary conceptual
That's right.
designs. This, of course, is the former Shell gasoline station site, which is currently vacant. So I guess the good news is there won't be any business interference here right now if they proceed, in the near future with that design. So
Those owners have been at the last two meetings of that site.
yeah, no, they're paying attention to what's going on there. It's to be commended. Just a couple other things, because I know we have a short time period tonight that I